So I served in the U.S. Marine Corps back in the early 90s, a short stint. I look at Veterans Day as a time to honor veterans, people who fought and served in the war before us. I myself, like I say, I wasn't in very long. My dad was World War I, my grandpa World War II, my great-great-grandfather American Civil War. Those are the guys I really consider to be veterans in my mindset, as well as everyone else that served during that time of war throughout our country's history. I just want to say that regardless of what you think about politics or war, I think it's really important that we honor these people, these veterans, because they sacrifice so much. They sacrifice part of their lives, if not their life, to defend our freedoms, defend the rights we have to do what we do now. And it's really time to pay respect to them, because those are the real heroes out there in the world. Thanks.
Hello, good morning. My name is John Van Hollen, and I was assistant principal at Sehome High School for about 6 years. I retired about 3 years ago. Mr. Cushman asked me the other night at the volleyball game if I would be willing to come and talk a little bit about my service as a veteran during the Vietnam War. And I thought it might be kind of fun maybe today just to talk a little bit about how I got into the Army and what my job was in Vietnam. I was teaching high school in 1969. It was my first year of teaching, and it was over the holiday break. I went to the post office and I picked up a letter that said greetings, and that is the letter that informed me that I had been drafted into the United States Army, and that I was to report in January. Fortunately, they let me finish the school year, and I became a member of the United States Army in June. I went to training in Fort Polk, Louisiana for 2 months, and where I learned how just the basic soldiering skills, how to shoot a rifle, so on and so forth. But when it came to deciding what I was going to do for advanced training, I was selected to go to a school in Fort Sill, Oklahoma that taught me how to operate a computer that was used to apply information from field observers to the cannons in an artillery fire base. After I finished the advanced training, I was shipped to Vietnam, and I reported to an actual fire base on the border of Vietnam and Cambodia. My job there was to operate a radio in which I would receive a target from people out into the field, an infantryman usually, or maybe somebody in an airplane that identified a target that our cannons would shoot at, and I would take that information and feed it into a computer, and then that would in turn provide me data that we would hand to the battery, the people that are actually firing the guns themselves. My job was fairly safe because I was doing the work and the computer application in a bunker in fact, this is actually the same bunker. This is something I printed off the internet, but this is the actual bunker that I worked in. That's not me standing there, but it is a picture of the same one. Our job was to receive the data and give it to the guns, and then the guns would fire. We were, at that time, actually firing into Cambodia. If you'll check your history, that was kept from the American people for quite a while, and in 1970 it was revealed that President Nixon was authorizing our guns to actually shoot into the country of Cambodia, which we had not been allowed to do. I made it home safe, and that appears to be obvious to everybody, but it was a great experience. I'm proud of my service, and I hope that we have peace in the world at all times, but I also have a big place in my heart for all those who are still serving and under harm's way.
So I'm Connor Haggerty, and I teach special education here at Sehome High School. I've been here for about 4 years. I'm a veteran. I served in active duty in the Army. I signed up for a short enlistment just for 2 years. So I served from 2000 to 2002 at a training post in the Mojave Desert called Fort Irwin. And so other units would come and train there, and that was my job, just helping out. I basically drove referees around, which was interesting. While I was in, from 2000 to 2002, 9/11 happened, and the Afghanistan war kicked off. I never had to go overseas, so I'm not a combat veteran. I'm just a veteran. And I got out just a few months before the Iraq war started. After I got out, a lot of the friends that I had served with while I was in college and things, the friends that I served with ended up doing multiple deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I think that timing while I was in college and they were serving was really pretty formative for me, and definitely impacted me a lot. So I had this realization after I'd been out for about 6 years that in the time that I had gone to college and started a career, friends of mine had served every other year for a year at a time. They'd been overseas, and in that time they'd gotten married and had kids and then gotten divorced. So I think one of my thoughts about Veterans Day is it's really important that we thank soldiers, and soldiers do pretty amazing work and pretty hard work. I think that the way I see it is a little bit more like thanking disaster workers for cleaning up a nuclear meltdown or something. People who put themselves out there and may never be the same again afterward. And I think that what strikes me as interesting about Veterans Day is that I think that we can thank soldiers and honor soldiers and Marines and airmen without promoting being in the military. And so I think Veterans Day started as Armistice Day, where we were celebrating being done with World War I and hoping that we never had to visit that awful reality of war again. And I think that Veterans Day can still have that same tone, where we're thanking people for doing something that was really hard. And it's a great day. It's a great day to remember our history and to celebrate the people around us, people in our families, and people that have done some really amazing things for our country.
I'm Mrs. Smith, and I teach English and journalism, and I advise the yearbook and the newspaper. And Veterans Day is important to me because my sister is a veteran. She was in the Air Force. Starting in college, she put herself through college on the Air Force ROTC, and then she was in the Air Force for 5 more years after graduating from college, so for about 10 years total. And she was an engineer, primarily at Fairchild and on a base in Okinawa, and also in Baghdad in the early days of the Iraq War. So it's important to me because I think about my sister. She really puts a human face to me on what the service people are doing, being away from their families, serving. So I think about her when she was away from her family. She was a newlywed when she was in Baghdad and was in near the Baghdad airport and doing a lot of work building the runways for the airplanes and making sure that the other service people had the buildings and the services that they needed. So she didn't serve as a combat person, but she was a support person. So I just think about wanting to make sure that our veterans are taken care of when they come home, and that they get the services and the respect that they need, and that we all work together, regardless of whether you believe in war or peace, that we work together to make a nation that takes care of the people who take care of us. So that's why Veterans Day is important to me.